Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of the Girlfriends and Gossip podcast. If this is your first time, I am your host, Shantae, owner of the Twi Bell Beauty brand. And I'd like to let you all know that this will always be a safe space full of light and love, truth and transparency. I am delighted that you are here. If you are rejoining us and you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. So I will jump right into it. Today's topic of discussion or episode will be about facing your fears. I think I told everybody else earlier when I put out the BOLO announcement for this particular podcast. Put your PJs on. I have my PJs on. I have my tea. This particular brew is just peach tranquility with a little bit of peach honey and some sleepy time tea. No uncaffeinated because I do plan on going to sleep after this is over. So I'll jump right into it. What is fear? And so when I first received this idea for today's topic, I went and I researched what is the definition of fear. And according to Webster's dictionary, fear is an unpleasant feeling triggered by perception of danger, real or imagined. I'd also like to preface this by saying we'll be discussing the fear that's imagined. I do believe there are certain aspects where fear is a real thing. If it causes hurt or harm to you or anyone else, I do not subscribe to it. I do not recommend it. So I'll just give a brief overview of, I guess, my own testimony and what comes to mind when I think about fear. And fear for me, the most vivid term that I could think of is the fear of failure. I think for me, the question of the hour would be, what will your fear cost you? And for me, I think the costs outweigh the fear of failure. And I say that because for me, the cost of not stepping out on faith would have me just, I guess, in a state of complacency, just accepting the status quo. And I've always known, and you should know as well, that we are fearfully and wonderfully made according to God's own eye and his mold for us. So when it came to the topic for me of, I guess, being a content creator at the age of 37, I'll admit there was some fear there. And I think the most overwhelming part of that was what would that look like for me? Not necessarily that it mattered to me about the subscribers or even the reach, because honestly, if what I'm doing impacts just one person, then I'll say my mission was accomplished. So you'd be amazed at just how inspirational you just stepping out and doing those things that people have heard you say you want to do, or that you've expressed that you want to do, even with the fear of failure or not knowing how to start or not knowing what it looks like. You'd be surprised at how inspirational you'll be, not just to yourself but to others. So I'm grateful for all those that reached out, all those that show support. I will say I feel like I am truly blessed and I am truly grateful for that. So I guess fear is kind of dealt with in processes. I think the first thing is just to accept that fear will never go away. But with faith, you'll learn how to cope with it better. The second thing that I will say is just identifying what that fear is. And sometimes that might mean you have to dig a little deeper and decide why you have that fear, or what you fear that that outcome will actually be. The next thing I would say is just to feel it. Don't feel bad about having fear, because we all go through moments and stages in life where we're unsure, scared, fearful. But again, I like to encourage you that we serve a big and strong God, and He is capable of getting us through any and every season in our lives. The next thing I would say would be to face it. Map out a plan. Like I've said, my plan to learn how to swim so that I'm not so afraid of my kids being around the pool. And the other thing was just stepping out, starting this podcast, and getting my products and stuff launched. Like the fear of failure of that, I'll never know if I don't try. So face it, just do it. And then the last thing I'll say is practice. Practice whatever that fear is, because when I first started, number one, getting in front of this camera, it's a whole new world just sitting here talking. And so I could have just given up then, because this is just like, if you could see the blooper reel, let me say that, if you could just see the blooper reel, you'd understand what I'm saying. But just practice, practice, practice. I don't believe in the saying that practice makes perfect, because I don't think that as a human being we're meant to be perfect, but I do know we serve a perfect God, and through Him we are much, much better. I decided to give you all a little homework this time. I challenge you all to compile a list of your fears. And on one side, I want you to put what that fear is. And on the other side, I want you to put, I guess, the potential outcome of that fear, and what it will be. And if that outcome does not involve you being harmed or killed or anyone else, I challenge you to then take a list and map out a plan in order. And it doesn't have to be chronological on how you plan on overcoming those fears, but I do want you to put a plan together to say, in 2023, I plan to conquer this fear by doing what? And I think I'll start. So on my list, I have number one, the fear of my kids drowning. It's not even me, because it would be a no-brainer if they stepped into a pool. Even though I do not know how to swim, I would go in after them. So to eliminate that fear, potentially, because there are situations where even knowing how to swim will not save your life. But in terms of like a swimming pool, when they go to ease that fear of something happening to them, one of the first things that I want to do is learn how to swim. So I'm going to put that down on my list. I had started a podcast on my list, and ta-da, I'm doing it. I challenge us to all get to a space where fear is not an option, and we choose to step out and believe that everything that we're doing is truly working for our good. We shouldn't get so caught up in the how, what, why, when, and where that we miss out on the opportunities that lie ahead in just stepping out and taking a chance. So on that note, this is the conclusion of today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it, and